What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. In today's video, I want to get into why I think the New York Jets need to start Olu Fashanu for the remainder of the 2024 season. Yesterday was such a weird day. Before we get into the Olu stuff, did not have Sauce Gardner tweeting at me on my bingo card for yesterday. Just wanted to briefly touch on that because I thought it'd be a little strange if I just ignored it on the YouTube channel and pretend like it never happened. But essentially what happened was Sauce Gardner put out the reaction to Rich Cimini's tweet, which I mentioned in the video yesterday. I didn't really love that reaction from him. I had a tweet that said, I'm paraphrasing, but it was something to the effect of, I wish Ahmad would just log off and take some accountability. I then posted the clip of my rant from the video yesterday on Twitter, and then Sauce Gardner responded, added me, only left it up for maybe like 5 or 10 minutes or so, and then dared me to play corner in the NFL. That was not my intention. I didn't want to set Sauce Gardner off like that. I don't consider myself a troll. I just talk about my favorite football team on the internet, and I don't know, I'm not in players' DMs or I'm not adding players. I think it's kind of lame when someone just adds a player and then shit talks them right to their face. I don't think that's necessary. You could be critical. That's what, I did. I was critical of Sauce Gardner. I thought it was important, and a important missed tackle in that game yesterday. I thought he brushed it off a little bit too much, and that was my take on it, and I expressed that. Sauce didn't like it. But the beef is squashed. I don't want to go too much into details, but just know the beef is squashed. We're all good. And I'm rooting for Sauce Gardner, man. I really am. I want him to return back to an All-Pro in 2025 with the New York Jets. It's been a little bit of a rough year for him and this team, but I think he's a talented young player, and I just think he'd benefit from staying off social media. I don't think it really does him any good to come on and be arguing with people. All right, so enough on that. The Jets lost 31-6 this week and fall to 3-7 on the season. It was a disaster. You guys know it. It was an absolute disaster. But if you're going to look for a silver lining, not on, it's not fun looking for silver linings in a year where that wasn't supposed to be the case, but Olu Fashanu had to come in for Tyron Smith, who suffered a neck injury during the game, and Olu looked really good at left tackle, I thought. Unfortunately, Tyron Smith getting injured is not a surprise. He hasn't played a full season in almost a decade. That's why when the Jets made the decision to sign Tyron Smith, my reaction was that the Jets need to have a solid contingency plan. And the same thing with trading for Morgan Moses. I like Morgan. I think he's a professional right tackle, but both Tyron Smith and Morgan are 33 years old. Both guys missed time due to injury last year. And more specifically with Tyron, he unfortunately seems to miss time every year. That's one of the main reasons why I was a big proponent of the New York Jets still addressing the offensive line in the NFL draft, and they elect to do that with Olu Fashanu. And I was a big fan of the pick because I think he has a really high ceiling, and I think he can be the left tackle of the future for this team. And that future might be starting just right now. So against Arizona, 33 snaps in this game. He played 28 of those were in pass pro. He allowed just 2 pressures. There were 2 hurries. He didn't allow Aaron Rodgers to get hit. No sacks allowed. He hasn't been credited with a sack allowed on the season so far, and no penalties in this game. Now, just looking at how Olu has done this year, I wouldn't say he's been a world beater. I thought we'll go through the whole timeline here. But he made his debut against the New England Patriots in week 3 at right tackle after Morgan Moses left with injury. And I thought he looked good that week, but then really struggled against Denver and Minnesota starting at right tackle. And those are the 2 heaviest blitzing teams in the NFL. I don't think it's a surprise that the Jets offensive line struggled against those 2 teams. They don't handle picking up the blitz very well. They don't get a pass for that, but I'm just saying that wasn't the most surprising thing. That's probably when the line looked as a unit looked the worst, and Olu really struggled at right tackle. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Although he would later have to fill in at right guard due to a couple injuries and against the Texans, and I actually thought he looked okay. But Olu was drafted as a left tackle. He's played essentially his entire collegiate and high school career at left tackle. Didn't really play. He never played in a game at right tackle before this season. He's practiced there before. I should say a regular season game. He did it a little bit in the preseason, but going back to training camp in the preseason, I think Olu's looked the most comfortable at left tackle. And I think that's where he's looked the best. So my take on it is let him get the 7 remaining starts. It does the Jets no good to put Tyron Smith back out there in a lost season when he's not going to be here next year. The Jets need to be using this time to see what they have with their 11th overall pick in Olu Fashanu and see if he is your long-term answer at left tackle. I think he can be. I genuinely do. I thought coming out of the draft, he was the best in pass protection. I thought Joe Alt was the best all-around tackle in this draft. He comes off the board first, but then number 2 on my list was Olu Fashanu. And we have to remember how young he is. He's still just 21 years old. He doesn't turn 22 until December. So, like, just let him learn on the fly. It might get ugly at times, but I think he has the technique and the fundamentals to be a really good player. And having Morgan Moses and having Tyron Smith in this offensive line room to learn from, I think is really big for him. So I have high hopes for Tyron Smith, for Olu Fashanu because of guys like Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses in the room. But like, what do the Jets benefit from tossing out a banged up, injured, old, frankly looking kind of washed Tyron Smith? There's none, unfortunately. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. Do you think the Jets should continue to just run Tyron Smith out there? Is now the perfect opportunity to get Olu Fashanu some playing time? Let me know. I'm Matt O'Leary. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll catch you next time.